kind of a hero to the DIY thing that everybody's DIY, including politicians, right? You know, I mean, and corporations, although that's not DIY, whatever. It feels amazing, you know. It's a lot of work too. I mean, I wish it makes me bewildered that I'm not in my 30s and this is happening.
I know I can totally relate to it because in a lot of ways it sounds like, sounds like my story. You're a creative person. You can only expect people to pay attention to you as much as they do, and so either
and the competition's fierce.
Yeah, and if you're in it just for that, then you'll quit. But if you're in it for the creativity, then you can't stop, and you don't stop, and you do it yourself, and you persevere and continue. And if you're like you, prolific, you build up a large body of work over time. And it's nice to think that at some point it can all come to fruition.
Yeah, it's all about acknowledgement, you know. Because, like I said, the competition's fierce. You're dealing with new generations every couple of years, and sometimes it just slips under the radar. And hey, you forgot to pay attention to me. I just want 15 minutes of fame, you know. And it goes. It's a cyclical thing. The way the time's gone, it's just been amazing. Things have all kind of like come together and fallen into my lap.
Over your career, it seems like you've been willing to jump on new mediums for the distribution of your music. Cassettes, first of all, back in the olden days, and then CDs. And so now we're into the computer revolution for the distribution of music, like what you have, suddenly becomes immediate, worldwide, and cheap.
Yeah.
It's all really fluid, and so if you record something, there's a rough mix of it. I mean, like the rough mix. Then it'll be up on the net, like 2-3 days later, and people are talking about it and hearing it and checking it out. So you have all these different versions, and it happens very, very fast. And Stevie, I think the reason that so many people, why it's really been exploding for him is because of YouTube, and all these videos that he made. It seems kind of prescient now, all the videos that he made in the 80s.
But it really has been amazing that this all throughout, being right there. My uncle was in North New Jersey, near New York City, right when punk and new wave were hitting. And that was the bedroom revolution, the DIY. Anybody can make the record. Right. You don't have to be able to play well. You don't have to, get on a major label. So it just fit right into what I was doing. I moved up there, lived there 30 years, and dabbled in performing, lots of recording, all the time. Recording since the late 60s, home recording. And it's all valid. I've got this stigma to where I can't differentiate between quality and bad quality because it's all relevant, just like life, right? So as he was saying, I put stuff out and forget about it and move on to the next. And I never worry about, I don't want people hearing this. It's substandard. Right. I love substandard music. We all love, from our heroes, we like bootlegs of them dicking around in the studio. Who cares about that? That's what's ruined showbiz. It's the polish and the big money, and we have to market this like this. I'm organic. I'm totally organic as a musician, as an artist, as a writer, but more than anything, recording. And people say, how can you have 400 albums out? That's impossible. Of course not. Since I've been recording since the late 60s, do the math. It's very simple. And since I put everything out, it's easy to make an album. And, do I have an issue with differentiating, like I said, between, I don't have quality control. Sometimes I do need an editor. And I'm all for that. I've had a lot of records come out of other people's idea of how I should be presented. Right. Don't leave it to me, because I put it all out. You deal with it, Well,
so it sounds like that what's important to you is not really the performance of the thing, maybe, or the sound of the thing. What's important is something within the thing that you've created.
Yeah, again, and it's just the sincerity combined with the fact that I don't know. I'm anti-professionalism, I guess, whatever that means. But I can dig professionalism as a listener. And again, and there is that debate and argument where people say, well, see, there's your problem right there. If it's all about quantity, then you're just going to shoot yourself in the foot, and people are not going to be able to get into you at all because they don't know where to start. And also because you're giving them your great song and following it with the noisiest piece of shit you can do. You shouldn't put that there. And again, I have no rules to follow, and if I have anything, it's rules to rebel against.
Right.
And that's how life is. I keep equating it to, everybody doesn't live this pristine, polished lifestyle. There's ups and downs, and I'm a diarist.
Well, there are many paths up the mountain.
There you go.
And it seems like that what it looks like is that you've taken a very long, circuitous path.
Yeah.
But it would appear that you are.
And I'm stubborn about it, but on the other hand, I'm also like, tell me what to do. I've had like-minded artists since the 70s that, really dig again, it's all about the independence.
There's been people keeping your flame going the entire time, too.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't as if you struggled in a certain amount of obscurity, I suppose, but then there's always been people that have been working with you and encouraging you, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm. And it's growing as we speak, And of course, there's nothing like being not on a YouTube video, but on a stage in front of these people that have heard about me for so long. So, what are we leaving out? Ariel Pink.
Yeah.
He's all, you know who that is?
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah. He's like the junior R. Stevie Moore, but I shouldn't put a name tag on him because he has his own thing. But he grew up learning my aesthetic and my music and the real lo-fi, DIY thing, and we're real close, and he's going through the roof. He's a global household name as being the new darling of,
Well, I think
against the system.
The media has caught up with this aesthetic. Because now you don't need a record company to put your thing out. You don't have to spend a bunch of money to create the record. You can put out a record a night on Bandcamp.
That's right.
You've got the recordings and.
That's right, and that's what I do pretty much, mainly back catalog. That's always been a great luxury for me too. That I have such a strong back catalog and voluminous. It goes forever. So I don't have to worry too much about, I got to write some new good songs, because people are getting turned on to my music that's 20 or 30 years old.
You said that it might be difficult for people to know how to, where do I start?
Yeah.
How do I get, if I want to get into what you're doing?
And it's not rocket science. People really overreact to that problem. I mean, and I have my own website besides all the other social media that I'm dealing with for self-promotion mainly, but my own website tries to document my entire works and all the music. It's daunting to try to, where do I start? But there are best of collections, but then there's a lot of people that really like adventurous, more avant-garde music that don't like the best ofs because they're kind of pop rock, single or Stevie Moore. So I was always doing that. But that's just one element of also distributing it. Mail order was huge. Cassette, as you said, the cassette revolution was like tailor-made for me. Everybody had a Walkman, and I loved it. I started with reel-to-reels. That's the big 70s thing, right? And I'm not talking about the big professional models, but a cassette was huge. I was able to make just from my own living room, here's my record, and I can advertise it and sell it through the mail, and then the internet is the cherry on top.
Have you noticed any change in your artistic output based on that?
Well, I'm not as prolific as I used to be for various reasons, and I'm also kind of just over it, and I kind of miss that because back in the day, it was just constant inspiration from within. I got to record.
It's slowed it down a bit?
Yeah, but I'm kind of glad, so I have time to do interviews like this,
right,
and do gigs, and good gigs, and huge gigs, but it's a runaway train.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord. I mean, I do want to be rich and famous. It's a little late to worry about it, but it's not enough just to have a trophy for my accomplishments, I got to get out of poverty, and I got to get on covers of magazines, and all of that. We're working towards it, But and again, the youth market, they're really digging having discovered an artist like me because of the big back catalog.
It's a hopeful story for people who.
And these days, DIY is across the board. Everybody. Open up your own little flower shop and do it yourself. Mm-hmm. My religion is variety, and that's what's ruined show business with the pigeonhole. Everything's like geared, and you're always going to have the Britney Spears and these youth things that are happening. And I scratch my head, even though, of course, I had a generation. We all did. There was teeny bop or bubblegum music.
Well, I think we need to wrap it up.
Okay.
Our lights are overheating.
That was a great interview, though.
Thanks. Very good.
Thanks.